Welcome to the RSP NFL Lens. I'm Matt Waldman with the Rookie Scouting Portfolio. We're going to take a look at Kenneth Walker. Excellent running back. And I want you to just look at this particular play. It's an 8-yard gain. And what we see out of this is really about how he uses his base of power. He's not a big back, but he's big enough to carry a load in terms of the power that he can deliver. But he's also a skilled mover in space. Where does he get this explosion? The lateral explosion, the ability to drag defenders forward for yardage. How does this work? Well, it's in the hips. Watch this particular run. You're going to see him, first of all, get outside. But the transition, it's a very smooth transition. It's literally just 2 quick steps downhill. And then what I saw a lot with Warren, and that what you see with a back like Frank Gore in his prime, his ability to operate from that low base of power. Get your gravity low, that low center of gravity. And part of that is being able to keep the knees and hips bent, so that you can drive, you can stop, start, you can be sudden with your movements, you can be efficient. And watch him work across the legs of the defender here and his blocker. And as he gets a little bit of contact trying to work around that blocker, see how he gets his feet airborne, and when he lands, see how he drops his weight some more as he gets wrapped? A lot of backs who don't get yards after contact don't really get that sink in their frame through contact so that they can then extend through it and drive and keep their feet moving. They get stiff-legged. And instead, he begins this with his knees bent, his hips bent, so that he can then push up and then move his feet. So he gets number 55. Actually gets 55 airborne. He gets him off his feet because it starts low, he lifts up, and now he can move the defender. So one of the most important things about a running back who can be, regardless of size, is can you run with that forward lean? And part of that forward lean is the hips and knees bent as you go. It's that diagonal lean that allows you to split tackles, and also it's about coiling that base of power so that when it's time to uncoil it, you can be explosive laterally, you can extend your legs out and keep your feet moving, and it allows you, when you have that bend, it keeps you in the practice of keeping your feet and knees high. And then when you're wrapped, to sink that weight and then extend upward, so that you take that defender's base of gravity and lift him off the ground. And now you can move forward. Lateral movement is also a big part of Kenneth Warren's game. You're going to see this here. It's only a 3-yard gain. But I love the cutback here. And it's not just about pressing and cutting back, but it's about the actual movement. And when you look at this play, watch how he heads towards this gap. So there's gap A, cuts across gap B, cuts across gap C. Just meaning that he works across 3 gaps here on this cutback. Now look at the weight. Again, sinks the weight. His butt is, he's bending at the hips. Butt looks like it's almost sitting in a chair. And he's able to step forward with the toe pointing towards the left boundary, but then bring the hips around, get the toe pointed in the direction he wants to go, which is actually 45 degrees to the right. And he's able to continue pointing that toe with the next step. So he's got the first step points towards that direction, second step with that right foot follows up in that direction, so the hips continue to turn and flip so that he can get across in an efficient manner. It's a very curvilinear type move. And part of the function of that curvilinear movement is the flipping of the hips. So he can accelerate through that movement. And that gets him the positive yardage there, because he could have gotten caught in the backfield. When we watch this where the ball is, he could have gotten caught like at the line of scrimmage. He's able to move forward here, and it's really not even at the line of scrimmage here. It's a little bit deeper than that in the backfield. So very nice gain. And a lot of it off that curvilinear movement. So the hips, low center of gravity, also helps acceleration. Now this is a 4-yard loss, but you're still going to see what I mean with the low center of gravity on this particular play. Sometimes it's these difficult scenarios that tell you a lot about the back's ability. Get straight downhill, even though there's a run blitz here that beats the wind back block. And he just gets downhill and tries to work through it. And see how he sinks that hips, and it's almost like a lunge. That allows him to work through a lot of that reach. Now, it turns him around and spins him, but it actually spins him away also from the defensive tackle coming into the play. And so it's a combination of both allowing the defender to turn him and him complying with it so that he can make that defender miss, the second defender miss. And again, watch as he pulls his way through the reach. Again, hips and knees bent, pads forward, knees high. It's all about the bend in the lower body, the flexibility to be able to generate the power base and access it and activate it. Again, now watch him drop his pads and taking on a defender, wrapping him high, knees and hips bent. Watch him backdrop this defender. I mean, he gets sunset flipped, if you remember wrestling terms here, off the ropes by number 5. But the fact that when he gets wrapped, it's not just a bend in his back, it's the bend in knees and hips that allows him to generate that kind of power. It's not what you want to see from a run, in terms of results. You're not expecting for runners to backflip people, but it just gives you an indication. A lot of what happens here is about his ability to bend, and that gives him this combination of short area quickness, agility, and power. Here's another pretty play that shows you, again, the hip mobility here. So he works through a crease, and the defender shoots the gap and tries to cut his legs, and look at him hurdle that with one foot on the ground and the other one going high up, kicking that high up and through, and he gets 9 yards on the play. Let's look at it from the red zone view. And here's the defender shooting that gap right here, or actually right here. Didn't know where I was for a minute. Defensive back coming across here. Watch the kick up of that leg. When you kick that leg like that, it allows you to get a little bit more balance so that you can plant like that and then continue forward. I mean, he's not able to stay on his feet, but you can see that he has the ability to and the flexibility and mobility to kind of kick that leg up there like that so that he can maintain some stride. I'm also a fan of the pad level. Now, this is a run where he gets stopped, but he hits the defensive back aiming for the inside shoulder and driving through, knees bent, pads down where they need to be. The only reason he doesn't absolutely win this collision and keep moving is that there are 2 other defenders in there, and one wraps his legs right here and another hits him square in the chest as he's already bent down and collided with the defensive back. If this were a one-on-one right here against this defensive back, he wins this and he's off to the races. Personally, I think Kenneth Walker is one of the best perimeter runners in the league. I think he might be the best runner of perimeter plays in the league. Part of it is that he has great acceleration and good speed, and he's explosive. But another is that he's very patient with runs, kind of knows when to read to work inside out on plays like this. And we're going to talk about the stiff arm because he has a multi-tool of a stiff arm. Let's take a look at it from the red zone view, and you're going to see here, first let's begin with the pullers. He reads the penetration during the exchange, knows he's going to have to dip inside, gets downhill and inside, and here's the first stiff arm coming on the linebacker, the middle linebacker. And look how he gets good extension with it, hits the top of the helmet, kicks his feet through to pass through that defender. Looks good. Let's see if we can see it right there. There you go. Good length on that stiff arm. Kicks the feet up and through. Nice on that end. So we'll watch it one more time through here. And watch the second stiff arm against the defensive back. The defensive back closes ground pretty quickly as he turns the corner. But watch how he uses the stiff arm almost as kind of like a shed. The way the wide receiver moves his arm up towards his ear hole and up towards his shoulder in a violent move to ward off the reach of a defender. Those release moves that you learn as a wide receiver, you can apply as a running back in the same way that defensive ends apply them or linebackers apply them in pass rush moves. So here's the reach. See how he uses his hand here? And instead of moving back, he actually does more, instead of a shed, he does a wipe, which is movement down. But he gets the forearm, bicep, kind of that crook of the inner elbow, and pushes it down, and that turns the defender completely away. He's able to shed him because that's the grip arm that he's trying to use right there, and slides right down, and then the dive from 5 yards out. So looking at it one more time all the way through, again, just a good feel for where the crease is going to be. Again, based maybe on pre-snap. As he's reading this right here, reads downhill, he sees the push. So instead of, and part of it is that you want to work towards the backside puller rather than the front side puller anyway. So he knows he's got to get depth into the crease and then work his way out. Stiff arm one with more length. Compressed stiff arm here with a little bit of a wipe. Good work. There you go, Kenneth Walker. Things that you can learn about a good running back in the NFL. Really a guy who's an underrated running back who I think is about to come to the forefront if he can stay healthy and maintain the workload that he got against the Broncos here in week 1. And it looks like that's what they want to do by design with Walker, is let him be the bell cow. And if that happens, things you can learn about it, it's about maintaining that low center of gravity no matter what size you are so that you can maximize your explosion, your lateral movement, your balance, and your power. Thanks again for watching. For more RSP NFL film videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, Matt Waldman RSP Matt Waldman RSP Film Room, and of course my website, mattwaldmanrsp.com.